Hello, everyone. Today is May 30th, 2017, and this is our introductory lecture for Fluid Dynamics, ES 2330 at Northwest College. So today I'm going to talk about the syllabus and about our website and the requirements for you to pass this course successfully. So the first thing is, if you take a look at our Moodle page, which is available through your student portal, you'll see some introductory material, and you need to go through each one of these elements and read them. The most important element is the syllabus, which we'll cover in detail in just a moment. Everything that we need to do to complete this course is on the syllabus, and all of the elements are here for you. For example, the textbook chapters are available for you online, and if we choose to, for example, look at textbook chapter 1, let me get this. Okay, here we go. So if we want to take a look at textbook chapter number 1, you can just click it and access it from your Moodle page. So it'll come up here in a moment and you can see. So in other words, you do not have to buy a textbook, and the tables, the property tables, and so forth are all available through our Moodle page. Now, continuing with that, the first stuff that we need to do is all listed here. But one thing I really want to make a point of is this summer is going to go really, really fast. And so this is our schedule that we're going to need to keep in order to finish the course. So you'll see that every Thursday and every Monday during this summer term, beginning on June 8th and ending on July 19th, which is actually a Wednesday, but every Thursday and Monday, and then on the 19th, the Wednesday instead of Thursday the 20th, there will be an element due. Now, if you look at the homeworks, we have a homework pretest. We have 4 homework chapter assignments. So these 5 homeworks are required before you can take the midterm exam. And the midterm exam is going to be a 2-hour proctored element, which needs to be submitted on Monday, June 26th by midnight Mountain Daylight Time. Now, that means that I will have this available to your proctor 24 hours before that, and that you schedule a time with your proctor during that 24-hour period. You need to schedule a 2-hour period to take the exam. Then afterward, we finish up. We have 5 more chapter homeworks and a paper. So there will be another 6 homeworks due every Thursday and Monday until the final exam, which will be given, once again, proctored element, 2 hours during a 24-hour period, and submitted no later than midnight Mountain Daylight Time on Wednesday, July 19th. So this is sort of the guts of how our class works. Now, the proctored exams, the midterm and the final, are each worth 25% of your grade, and they are equally weighted. So the homework assignments, a total of 11 homework assignments, in other words, 9 chapter assignments, a math pretest, and a homework paper at the end, are also equally weighted and worth a total of 50%. So each homework assignment is worth approximately just under 5% of your course grade. It's important to note that you can only pass this course by passing both the midterm and the final. All right, so getting back to our Moodle page, the first element up here, we have a news forum, which is entitled Proctor Information. And if you click on that, you'll see that what I'm asking, I will add a new discussion here. And basically, what we want to do is to give me contact information for your proctor. So it is your responsibility, each one of you, to submit that information to me. All right, so that's not a graded assignment, but that will be required in order for you to get through this class. Okay, and I need to have your proctor information there so that I can find it readily, so that I can make sure that I have the material to your proctor before the exams. Now, there's a file here that asks, is your computer ready for fluids? This course is easiest to see in Firefox. It's also quite easy to use in Chrome. Microsoft Edge does not work well, and Microsoft Explorer does not work well. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you have a browser that will work well on your computer. And if not, you'll need to take care of that as well. The other thing is that each chapter has a vodcast associated with it. Now, this, as you see right here, the vodcast number 1, introductory material for spring 2017. I'm going to hide that. You don't need that information. What we're doing today actually takes the place of that information because it changes every term, obviously, so that we need to make sure that we have up-to-date information. The first graded element that you'll have is this, the Math Concepts Pretest. And as you can see over here, it will be due by Thursday, June 8th. The math prerequisite for this class is Calculus 3, and then some engineering science or physics. So this is basically a series of problems that will indicate whether or not you're ready for this test. It will, or for this class, it will be graded. However, if the test is something that you're not familiar with, if the material is not familiar to you, it's also an indication to you that you're probably not ready to take this class, because the math pretest is representative of the math skills that you'll need from this point forward in order to be successful. Now, the next element that we have here is the honor code for students and proctors. And this is going to be required. You and your proctor will have to sign this and return it when you take your exams. And basically, you'll see that you cannot have give or receive any unauthorized aid, not photocopy, photograph, transcribe, or in any way take part of the exam with you. You cannot use an internet-capable device, including cell phones. You can use a standard calculator. Any calculator that is allowed on the FE exam is allowed in this class. If you have any question about it, you can ask me, but basically anything that has internet capabilities is not okay. So as it says also, you cannot give or receive unauthorized aid, and if you do not comply with this honor code, the Northwest College Student Handbook has a variety of penalties for that, but my solution in this class will be to give you an F on the element. So if you cheat or violate the honor code on the midterm, you'll get an F on the midterm. And if you do that, if you got 100% on the final and 100% on the homeworks, you would then have a C in the class. So it's very important that you not violate the honor code, because first of all, it would be very difficult to get C's on, or to get A's 100% on the final and the other elements. So it would be very likely that you would fail the class entirely. It's very important to stay in compliance with the honor code. Your proctor has to sign and complete this as well, to make sure that your proctor understands what is expected of you and that he or she is willing to comply with those regulations. The first vodcast, like I said, this is what we're doing today, substitutes for that. Now, the syllabus for this class, we're going to go over in detail in just a moment, but I also want to show you that there is a button here that says Submit Math Pretest. In upcoming events, there will also be submit all of the elements that are coming up soon. I've only made visible the stuff for chapters 1 and chapter 2 because that will take us up to June 15th. And so sometime around June 10th or June 12th, I'll make the next 2 chapters available to you. But I want you to finish this material first before we proceed on to chapter 3 and chapter 4. And then, of course, after we finish chapter 4, we'll be ready for our first exam. But there'll always be a submit button over here, so the elements here that require a submission will also be over here. All right, so let's take a look at the syllabus so that we can determine what's going to be expected of you in this class. All right, so first of all, this is a 3 lecture credit class Moodle page on Student Portal holds all pertinent documents. So it's my goal, and I believe I've been successful in making sure that everything you need is on this Moodle page. It's your responsibility that you are able to access the Moodle page and to view all of those elements on your own. We do have a computer services instructional technology department here, and if you are not able to access things on your computer, they may be able to help you, but I really want to emphasize that it is your responsibility to be able to do so. This is my email address, astrid.northrup@nwc.edu. This is my phone number, 754-6066. And I would also like to emphasize, because we're on summer hours, I will not be in my office on a regular basis. So the best way to reach me if you need me in between classes is through email. I don't know when I will be answering my phone. So if you need to get a hold of me, email me and I'll check my email several times a day. So what we're going to do is introduce the fundamental aspects of fluid dynamics. And by the end of the class, you should be able to set up and solve problems involving hydrostatics, the Bernoulli equation, Reynolds transport theorem, Navier-Stokes equations, pressure drop in piping system, analysis of dimensional groups, and to some extent, the evaluation of centrifugal pumps. The catalog description is listed below. Fluid, in terms of the physical world, means any liquid or gas or combination thereof. So really anything except for a solid. Plasmas are a little bit different. They're complicated. It's a complicated state. So this is mostly focused on liquids, gases, and combinations of those things. As it says, the prerequisite is Calculus 3. And then it says either dynamics or physics 1. But there is an alternate prerequisite, is that if you are in or have taken thermo and you have completed statics, you should also be ready. The math level is really key, though. It's really, really difficult to get through this course without Calc 3 because we do some partial differential equations. So that becomes sort of the bar for passing this course. All right, so right here on the syllabus, we have the course outline, all the material that we're going to cover. The textbook, Fundamentals of Fluid Mechanics, 4th edition by Munson, Young et al., published by John Wiley in 2002. All of the chapters and property tables of this textbook are available on the website. However, if you wish to purchase it, you can probably get it through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, perhaps eBay. And I have several copies. The reason that we can use this is I've purchased about 20 copies of this textbook because I need to have a copy available for every student in the class in order to comply with regulations. So I have many, many copies of this in my office. If you wish to borrow one from me, you can let me know and we can make arrangements for that. But I just want to assure you everything is available on the website. Okay, once again, here on the syllabus, we have the schedule, and this is all important. I really don't have any facility for granting incompletes this summer, so we need to finish up by Wednesday, July 19th. And in order to do that, we're going to have to run a really tight ship. We're going to have to do an assignment or an exam every Monday and Thursday. So expect to work on fluids every day of this summer between June 5th and July 19th. All right, now underneath we have a schedule for ES 2330, and you'll notice that we have class periods. This is a little bit misleading because in this condensed format, you may be doing 2 classes in one day, or you may be doing a class on the weekend, but basically the due dates are the important parts and also which podcasts go along with that. So in other words, in order to do the Chapter 1 homework, you should have viewed vodcasts 1, 2, 3, and 4 and gone through this material. And then in order to do the Chapter 2 homework, you need to do vodcasts 5, 6, 7, 8, and so forth. Okay, then we have the proctored midterm exam on the 26th of June, and the proctored final down here has to be completed by midnight on the 19th of July, Mountain Daylight Time. And once again, you'll have a 24-hour window, so if you're in a different time zone, there will be a 2-hour block that you can choose in agreement with your proctor that will work for you. So if our time block is in the middle of the night, you won't have to, of course, take it in the middle of the night. You would take it at a time that's convenient for you during that 24-hour period. My office hours are over the summer by appointment only. So if you contact me via email, we can set up a time, and at that time you and I can have a phone conversation, or we can Skype or answer any questions that you have via email in a concentrated format, whatever works better for you. Now, right here, it says all homework can be scanned and submitted through Moodle. I'm still working on this aspect, so I am confident I can get this up and going before the 5th of June. However, if there are any problems, we can scan and email to me at my college email address. But for now, let's say that it's going to be scanned and submitted through Moodle. You need to turn in well-organized, neat, coherent homework solutions with appropriate units on all quantities on engineering comp or other quadro paper. You have to use the homework template for full credit, which I'll show you. It's also on our website, and you'll be graded on your process and your format as well as your answers. So I tell my students routinely in all the different classes that I teach that if you compare our class to, say, an English class, every exam problem and every homework problem is an essay problem. Just the answer is not sufficient. Full credit is for the entire process. So I'll go through that with you in just a moment. We have an ADA statement. If anybody has accommodations that they need to have made, please let me know, and I will help you with that. The other thing is that you can drop or withdraw from this class and it will not affect your transcript if you do it before certain dates. So the best way to check on what day that is for the summer term is to call our registrar's office. You can call the main number at 307-754-6000 and ask for the registrar's office, and they can let you know and they can help you drop or withdraw. But if you just quit doing your work, you will not get a D or a W, you will get an F. And so that will affect your grade point average, and negatively, obviously, so we don't want that to happen. Right, so going back to what should your homework look like? All right, if you look right here at the very top, you'll see a homework template. And I borrowed this from one of my colleagues at Montana College of Mineral Science and Technology. And this is the format. You can see that the homework is done on quadro paper or engineering comp paper. It's usually, engineering comp paper is generally a light green with a grid on the front and a heavier grid on the back. I don't care about green. There's also a buffer clear or buffer white, but the important thing is the quadro. The due date for the homework goes right here. So in other words, that's not the date that you're working on it. It's the date that the homework is due. So for example, our first homework assignment is due, or excuse me, the pretest is due Thursday, June 8th. So you will write 6/8/17 here. The course number, this would be ES 2330, and then you write out the numbers in the problem set. So I would like you, since you're going to be handing in all of your chapter 1 homework at the same time, if you're doing that, you have all the problems listed at that point. Then you have your name, your last name, comma, and your first name. Please do not just use your first name. It's very difficult to sort out, and especially in many of my classes, this one included, there are several people who share the same first name. So you need to be clear about which you know, which John, for example, you are, if you're John Doe or John Roe or whoever. So make sure that you do this correctly. Then you will have, this is the first sheet out of the total number of sheets. Now, since we're doing an entire chapter at a time, this number is going to be quite large. You may have 10 or 11 sheets. So it may be 1 out of 11. The next one will be 2 out of 11, and so forth. The other thing I want you to notice is you only write on the front of the paper. The back of the paper remains blank. Okay, I'm going to say it again. Do not write on the back of the paper. The back of the paper remains blank. You clearly write the problem number. You state the problem. You don't necessarily have to write every word of the problem, but you restate it in your own words. If it's appropriate, generally is, you will draw a sketch. In statics, dynamics, vector mechanics, we call that a free body diagram. In this class, it's more of a system diagram, but some sort of a sketch indicating what's going on. The theory is generally an equation. You know, what equation you're going to use. Are you going to use Bernoulli? Are you going to use buoyancy? What principle are you going to use here? If there are any assumptions, that's very, very important, because sometimes your answer will be significantly different depending on what assumptions you use. And then your solution, that's sort of the guts of the whole thing. You put in your equations, you fill in the numbers, you convert your units, and you come out with an answer. And the answer is, generally speaking, numbers and units. Half credit for the number being correct, half credit for the unit being correct. So this problem would rate full credit. If you skip any of those steps, you'll get less credit. The other thing is, of course, the answer is double underlined, and it has to be the number plus the unit. Now, as far as if you prefer to put a box around that instead of a double underline, that's fine. But it needs to be clearly demarcated, and it needs to be separate from the rest of your work. Okay. And if you have any questions about the homework template, let me know. It seems very, very picky. However, this is what's going to be expected of you. Those of you, if you're in Calc 3, if you've taken some engineering science courses, you already have a pretty good idea of what's going to be expected of you. So it won't be that difficult for you to follow this format, but it's extremely important that you do. All right, so what we have then, just to reiterate, we have the introductory material. We have our Proctor Information. There's nothing we're going to be doing in this news forum. And then we have the homework template, which will follow. We have the introductory material. The submission here is right here. For this section is just the math pretest with the due date. Then we move on to the material for exam number 1. And the exam number 1 and exam number 2 constitute the midterm. So in other words, this material is the first half of the material for the midterm. And after we submit homework 1 and homework 2 by these due dates, we then move on to the material for exam number 2, or the second half of the midterm, which of course is hidden right now. But we have chapter 3 and chapter 4, and down here we will have buttons for submission of chapter 3 homework and submission of chapter 4 homework. All right, and that's it for our introductory lesson. So your assignment is to make sure that you are able to access the Moodle code, the Moodle page, that you are able to access the first vodcasts, and that you are able to communicate with me. The one thing I would also let you know is that any communication that I send to you will be through your student email address at Northwest College, so you need to make sure that you can access that as well. So if your name, for example, were Jane Doe, your student email account here at Northwest College would be jane.doe, and maybe some numbers, 123, at nwc.edu. If you have an unusual name like I do, there's no numbers because I'm the only Astrid Northrup. So my email address is astrid.northrup@northwestcollege.edu, and yours will be some form like that, either with or without numbers, depending on if your name is unique in our system. So You need to make sure that you can send and receive emails through your student account, that you can access the Moodle page, and then you need the first 2 assignments have been given, the math pretest, which is due on June 8th, and Chapter 1 homework assignment, which is due on June 12th. So I'm glad you're in class. Thank you for joining me today. And if you have any questions, drop me an email. Thanks.